Yeah. What's going on, everybody? My name is Phoenix, and today I have a review that I've been looking forward to for a long time. It's probably one of my most anticipated movies of 2021, and that is... Now, if you follow me on Twitter, you have already seen my initial reaction to the movie. As of recording this, I've seen this movie 3 times now. And the first time I watched it was just for fun. Second time I watched it was for me to actually go through and really take some notes. And the third time I watched it was just for me to, have it fresh in my mind before I did this video. So after watching it, going through it, letting it sit for a couple days here, I don't hate it. I also don't love it. I think I like the movie. Don't get me wrong. I like the movie. I think there's just aspects of it that disappoint me, because here's what I believe. If you are the type of Mortal Kombat fan, right, that loves the games, loves the gore, the fatalities, all of that, but isn't really super into the story, then you'll probably love this movie, and it'll probably be exactly what you're looking for. But if you're someone who has really appreciated the lore that's been established in this IP, and wants to see a live action adaptation of that, you're probably going to be disappointed. And if you can't tell, that's me. So I don't expect it to be shot for shot, beat for beat what's in the games. I don't expect that. But I at least expect there to be a little bit more respect to what's already been established. And I feel like for the sake of trying to appeal to the masses, the story was sacrificed. And that bothers me, but I'll get into it. Here's how I'm going to do this video, because I feel like if I try to just talk to you about it, I'm going to end up ranting, which is not what I want to do. So I've got a lot of notes. I'm going to do my best to just go through my notes, and we'll run it down that way. Warning, spoilers ahead. If you have not seen this, leave now, go watch it, then come back. Still here? All right. So this movie was directed by Simon McQuoid, and it's his directorial debut. And I think for this being his first feature-length, large budget film to have done, he did a really good job. He did. The movie looks absolutely incredible. And I gotta say, the first 12 minutes of this movie are absolutely amazing. I mean, it really gets you pumped up and really gets you looking forward to the rest of the film. The film was written by Greg Russo and Dave Callaham. Now, this was, I believe, Greg Russo's first feature-length film as well. I think he directed a short prior to this. But he's also a big Mortal Kombat fan. I believe he's one of the top Mortal Kombat players in the country, I believe, or was at one point. But he is a big Mortal Kombat fan, so he does understand the story. He understands the lore. He understands what Mortal Kombat is. And then Dave Callaham is known for working on movies like Wonder Woman 1984. He's worked on a few other movies in his past. I believe Doom was one of the first movies that he worked on. And he's got a few movies under his belt. So out of the, I don't know if those are the best examples of movies that he's worked on, but out of the two, he's definitely more experienced coming on to help out Greg Russo with putting together the screenplay. Now, it starts off with Hanzo Hasashi and Bihan. Hanzo is with his family, and Bihan comes and basically murders his family. Now, the first deviation I'll say from the lore is that Hanzo has a daughter. Hanzo doesn't have a daughter. He usually only has a son. And in this film, he has a daughter, which I'm cool with that. I was looking to see where they were going to go with it, and the daughter just sets up our protagonist for the film, who is Cole Young. But I'll get to Cole Young here in a second. So the fight between Bi-Han and Hanzo is absolutely incredible. I mean, the two actors playing them, what are their names? Joe Taslim and Hiroyuki Sanada. Incredible. I know Joe Taslim from The Raid, and he's fantastic in that. Really, really good. Great martial artist. And then Hiroyuki Sanada, I've seen him in several different films, and every film I've seen him in has been really great. So both of their fights, best fights in the movie, hands down. Absolutely incredible. So Bi-Han ends up killing Sub-Zero, and Raiden comes down and saves Hanzo's daughter. And Hanzo gets taken down to the Netherrealm. One of the biggest deviations from the lore is Shang Tsung's entire motivation. Definitely not, in my opinion, not better than the Shang Tsung from the 95 Mortal Kombat. I'll say that for sure. But his whole motivation in this is that he does not want to have the 10th tournament. Now, anybody that knows Mortal Kombat knows that you got to have 10 tournaments in order to invade without the Elder Gods getting involved, right? So if Outworld wants to invade Earthrealm, they got to win 10 tournaments. And they've already won 9. But Shang Tsung doesn't want to have the 10th tournament, so his plan is to go and kill the Earthrealm warriors so that he can just simply invade. Because I guess his assumption is that the Elder Gods aren't going to get involved and aren't going to do anything. Well, in my opinion, that kind of defeats the whole purpose of having the tournaments to begin with, right? But if you throw that out, the whole motivation gets thrown off, and it doesn't really make sense. And I think for people that, people that know the lore very well, that's definitely going to rub them the wrong way. And I think people that don't know the lore very well, it's probably going to confuse them a little bit. And I'm just speaking from purely hypothetical. I don't know if that's necessarily true or not with people that don't know the lore very well. I haven't spoken to anyone that doesn't know the lore very well. But from what I know, it definitely rubbed me the wrong way as someone who knows the lore. So that was the biggest change, one of the bigger changes, and one that definitely I am not a fan of. Now, I will say another positive that I'll give is that the Sub-Zero's effects look incredible. Like I said, the movie looks incredible. The production is great. I think the sets that they have are really beautiful, and the costume design is great. And the CG effects are fantastic. Even Cabal's effects, when he's running, it's the right color, it looks right, everything looks good. So I'm very, very pleased with the effects that they used in this movie. It looks absolutely incredible. Now, another deviation is how they all come together, how the Earthrealm heroes come together, right? So each hero has a marking. It's a dragon tattoo, basically, that they have. It's not a tattoo. Well, it's not really a tattoo. It's more like a brand that they have. Cole has it on his chest. Jax has it on his hip. Kano has it on his neck. These markings mark you as a Earthrealm warrior, but they also allow you to develop powers, which are called Arcana. We'll get to that here in a second. But the reason why I'm not a huge fan of how this brings everyone together is because in the original lore, everybody has their own reason for coming to the tournament. And I think making the tattoo or the brand the reason why they're chosen kind of loses your ability to give some of these characters more development, because if you explain the reason that they're actually there, that gives you an opportunity to give that character some backstory and some character development, right? Like, for example, Sonya and Jax are going to the tournament to capture Kano, right? Scorpion is there to kill Sub-Zero because he thinks that Sub-Zero is the one that killed his family, right? Liu Kang and Kung Lao are there because they want to defend Earthrealm from being overtaken by Outrealm, so they want to win the tournament, right? So everybody has their own reasons for being there, but in this case, you just got a marking, and you can take that marking from someone. So even if you aren't originally chosen, you can make yourself chosen just by killing someone that has the marking. So it just kind of, I'm not a huge fan of that story point. And I would much rather them just have it to where each person has their own reason for needing to be in the tournament, because I think that gives you an opportunity to create more character development for each character that you have. And I know you have a lot, and I know you have to find a way to introduce all these characters as quickly as possible, but for one, the movies could stand to be a little bit longer just for the sole purpose of giving the characters a little more character development. The way that Jax loses his arms, that's also a deviation from the story, but that's been kind of, Mortal Kombat hasn't really decided definitively on how they want Jax to lose his arms. I forget what it was in the original timeline. Go in the comments below, remind me what it is in the original timeline. But in the new timeline, Ermac steals his arms. Ermac rips his arms off, and that's how Jax gets his arms, and the government gives him new arms. Well, in this particular case, Sub-Zero takes Jax's arms, which is totally fine. I'm cool with it. It looked cool. It looked great. And the way that he gets his arms later on, I'm okay with it. I'm not like the biggest fan of it, but I am okay with it because we'll get there. We'll get there. I don't want to get too ahead of myself here. So let's talk about Cole Young. Okay. The purpose of Cole Young being in this movie was to give the audience a surrogate to walk them through the Mortal Kombat universe, which I get, but I don't think he was necessary because that's Johnny Cage's job. That's who Johnny Cage is as a character. He's the person that is new to all of this and saying, what's going on? I'm just being thrown into this. And by taking Johnny Cage out, you now have to create a new character that's completely unnecessary. And to be fair, Cole is the most boring, stale character in this movie. He is completely unnecessary. And this is no shade to Louis Tan. No shade to him whatsoever. I think he's actually great. He was great in the role for what he was given. And he's a great martial artist. I remember seeing him in Iron Fist, which, I mean, Iron Fist wasn't that great of a show, but he was good in it. And he was actually a drunken master in that, which was cool. So Louis Tan is great in the roles that he's in, and he was great in this. But I honestly feel like had they taken him and made him a different character that's already been established in the Mortal Kombat universe, he would have been much better suited than using him for a new character that really is just stale. We don't really care about him. We don't really care about his family, because here's Cole Young is supposed to be the descendant of Hanzo Hasashi, Scorpion's descendant. And in my personal opinion, the only reason why he's in the movie is so that Scorpion can be resurrected. But we're supposed to care about his family, which we really don't care about. I was hoping there would be more to them, because I mean they're both great actresses. The mom and the daughter, they're both great actresses, but could care less. You know, didn't mean anything to me. When they were in danger, I wasn't concerned, to be totally honest with you. So I just don't think that they were necessary, which made Cole Young even less necessary for this movie. So I'm very upset at the fact that they created this character for no reason when they already had that character in Johnny Cage. So big misstep there. And to be honest with you, I think this movie was pretty much going to live or die on Cole Young. And I don't think they stuck the landing with him at all. So we'll see where it goes from here with his story. We got the tease at the end of the movie for Johnny Cage, who, if they get a second one, is most likely going to be in it. So we'll see what they do with his character. Maybe they'll give him a little bit more to work with in the next one. But I was just extremely disappointed, and he just didn't seem to want to be there to begin with. I mean, when Jax came and picked him up, Cole didn't want to be there. He didn't want to fight. He just wanted to be with his family. He didn't want to get involved, and he got thrown into this world that he never wanted to be in to begin with. So, and the whole time you forget that he's there until he steps up and starts talking. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot you were here. So you just, I don't think his character was necessary, and it's extremely disappointing. Kano, to be honest with you, was a standout, and he was our surrogate. He was funny. He had personality. I actually cared about Kano, and he was the best part of the movie. I think Kano probably saved this movie, to be honest with you. If it weren't for, the movie looking good, and if it weren't for the Sub-Zero Scorpion fights, I don't think there would be much left to this. And Kano kind of redeemed it and kind of saved it. We get a look at Reptile, who is a full-on lizard in this. Me personally, I would rather see Ninja Reptile, maybe more of a reptilian person, not just a straight up lizard. But you get what you get with Reptile. Looks better than he did in the 95 Mortal Kombat, so we're okay with that. But I think I personally would have rather liked to have seen the Ninja Reptile. I think that would have worked a little bit better, personally. So we get our first fatality from Kano, which was awesome. He had the OG fatality, the heart fatality. Kano grabs your heart, rips it out, and he goes, Kano wins. And it's like, yes, that's awesome. That's Mortal Kombat. We love that. If you were in this looking for the fatalities and the brutalities and the blood and the gore, you got it. That's there. And it looked great. It felt great. It was awesome. So hats off to the filmmakers for being able to put that in there. And I'm also happy to see Sonya and Kano's relationship, how much they pretty much hate each other. That is very true to canon, very true to lore, and that makes me happy to see that. So again, the fight choreography is really great. I will say, if it isn't Scorpion and Sub-Zero fighting, everyone else's fights have these crazy quick cuts, and it kind of bothered me a little bit. I think that when you do editing that way, when you're editing fight scenes that way, it's very obvious that you're trying to hide things. And I understand that not everybody in this movie is martial artists. I get that. But I would definitely have liked to have seen less quick cuts so I can actually see what was going on. When you're dealing with, fighting films, martial arts films in general, you're there for the martial arts. So you want to see what everything looks like, what the fighting looks like. And the quick cuts definitely are jarring. I'll say that for sure. I mean, it's no Enter the Dragon, it's no Ip Man, it's no The Raid, right? You're not going to get, long camera scenes of these fights. You're just not going to get that, and I don't expect that. But the amount of cuts that were in there was very jarring. I think they could have done with less. Let's get into some of the other characters. Let's go ahead and dive into that. So, Kung Lao. As someone who plays a lot of Kung Lao in the game right now, I was definitely happy to see him in the movie. He is definitely a jerk, which is very much like his character in the new timeline. In the old timeline, he wasn't like that, but in the new timeline, he definitely is. Because he's pompous, because he's the descendant of the great Kung Lao. Speaking of the great Kung Lao, I would have loved to have gotten a little bit more backstory on who that is, because when they give his intro, right, when he comes on the screen, it's great. He does the teleport and it's awesome. It's cool. I love it. But then when Kano says, well, who are you? And they do the quick zoom in on him, and he goes, I'm Kung Lao, descendant of the great Kung Lao. I'm like, well, as someone who doesn't know the lore, who's the great Kung Lao? And why should I care? You know, and they try to say, you know, Kung Lao, great Kung Lao was a, you know, he was Earthrealm's warrior, main dude. And this is why you should care about Kung Lao. They tried to do that, but I don't think they succeeded. They didn't really stick the landing for me on that, so I didn't care. And I thought it was weird when he said it. I just felt like, okay, that took me out of the movie for sure. Liu Kang.
I'm Liu Kang.
Ludi Lin, great actor. Only thing I really know him from is Power Rangers, the movie Power Rangers, the new one, and I liked him in that. I don't know what direction he was given in this, but it definitely seemed like he was in a different movie. I'll say that for sure. Like, the entire time, he had this look of just absolute, like, wonder on his face. Like, every time he looked at somebody, it was like, it was always like that. And I think I understand what he was trying to do, where he was trying to, you know, kind of be that monk that with that, you know, gravitas and you know, was more serious for sure. I just think that it I don't know, I didn't really buy it, and it felt odd to me. So I was not a fan of Liu Kang in this movie at all, from the moment he entered the screen to the very end. Well, I'll tell you, I like the end when he knelt down and did the fire and said, hey, I'll help you get warm. That was the one part that I liked. Sadly enough, that was the one part that I liked. But other than that, it felt very awkward for me. Sonya Blade, she was good. I mean, it was Sonya Blade. I really don't have anything bad to say about Sonya's character in this film. It was pretty much true to who Sonya is. She's a hard ass. You know, she's the one that will, you know, she's the one that gets it done. So I appreciate Sonya in this movie. I think that she was good. I think the actress did well with Sonya too. Jessica McNamee, I think she did good. Did I say that right? McNamee? Yeah. I think she did good. So Jax, I would like to have had more of him. I like Mehcad Brooks as an actor. I think that he just wasn't given enough. And honestly, I didn't quite buy him being upset with not having his arms. I just didn't quite buy it. Because I felt like they were trying to make it out like he was this awesome fighter. But the only time we saw him fight was him getting his butt kicked by Sub-Zero, and he didn't really put up that great of a fight. So, I mean, I get it, you're going up against Sub-Zero, but still, you know, I still want to believe that you're a good fighter and that you would really be upset about losing your arms. But I didn't buy it. So I just couldn't feel for him when he was hitting the punching bag and real upset. I just couldn't feel for him, because I was like, well, I mean, you didn't really show me that your arms are really useful to you to begin with. So I couldn't buy it.
Yeah,
these motherfuckers work.
I love the Natara cameo that we got. That was great. Cabal looked absolutely great in the film. I do think he talked a little bit too much for me, because Cabal isn't very vocal. But at the same time, his character had a purpose. I appreciated what the purpose of his character. I appreciated what he was there to do. And I think that the character design was great. Melina, definitely liked Melina's character. Would have liked to have seen more from her. A little upset that she got killed, but I do think that it's Mortal Kombat, so they're going to bring these characters back pretty much. Nobody really truly dies in this universe, because once you die, you go to another realm, then you can be brought back. So no one really dies in this. I would hope that CC Stringer, who plays Melina, I would hope that she also plays Katana. That would be awesome. That would make me very happy to see, because Melina is just a clone of Katana. So I would love to see CC Stringer also play Katana, which would be awesome. But I do think she did great in the role. The makeup, the mouth, everything, teeth, all that. It was great. Loved it. Oh, Goro looked great. I think he absolutely looked great in the movie. Reiko was there. To be honest with you, and Reiko was pretty much there in the games too. So for what it was good to see him there. Let's talk about Arcana, because this was probably my least favorite thing in this movie. I don't understand why Hollywood feels like they have to create a reason for people to have these abilities, right? Because again, going back to the lore and the canon of the game, probably getting tired of hearing me say lore, but I gotta go back to it, right? In canon, the characters either are born with their abilities, they trained hard enough to get their abilities, or they were given their abilities through magic or godhood. It's not a marking allows you to access your arcana, which then gives you this random power, right? Jax's arms were given to him by the military. Kano's laser is a cybernetic upgrade that he put on his eye. Sonya's wrist blasts are actually gauntlets and not natural occurring wrist blasts. Liu Kang is able to use his fire abilities because that was just something that he trained hard enough to learn how to do. Same with Kung Lao. All of these characters have their abilities because they trained for them, or there was a practical reason for them having them, not arcana. And that 100% took me out of the movie once I heard that. Once they brought that up, I said, okay, well, here we go, right? Because it's just classic Hollywood studio nonsense that feels like they have to create a reason for powers. And you don't necessarily have to create an arbitrary reason for it, because most of the time it's already built into the universe and you just accept it and it's fine. Like, you don't have to hold my hand through it. Like, respect the fact that I'm gonna just understand it, and it's good. It's okay, as long as the storytelling is good enough to where I can believe it, right? And I personally, I feel like because the story just wasn't that great, they had to put that in there. If the story was good enough to where you believe the universe that you were in, you wouldn't have to put stuff in there like that, because you just accept it. You're able to suspend your disbelief to where, so that you can accept something like that is existent inside of this universe. Otherwise, you got to throw something in there like that to explain why it's a thing. And I just don't think that is totally necessary to have that in there. Some of the lines that you get from the movie is there. Flawless victory, fatality. I think that they were kind of just thrown in there because they felt out of place. And again, those were moments that also took me out of the movie. You know, I'm not against them being in there, but I would rather them be placed in there in a way that makes more sense and just doesn't feel like it was just like pasted on there just to give fan service. You know, I think that's one of the biggest flaws of this movie is that while, yes, I understand the filmmakers are trying to create a story that had emotion and things like that in it, but also at the same time trying to appeal to fans, I think the fan service overtook the actual emotion in the story because I didn't feel any emotion from the story, but the fan service was definitely there. So I don't know if that's just bad storytelling or if that's studio interference or what, but you know, it is a Warner Brothers film, and Warner Brothers has a history of favoring fan service over story. So but again, I can't speak on that for sure because I don't know. But I do feel like a lot of those moments took me out of the film, for sure. But I will say the fatalities looked great. Kung Lao's fatality was definitely the best in my opinion. It looked awesome. Jax's fatality, I think, was more like a brutality in my opinion, but you know, it looked good. You know, just smashed the head. Perfect. Cool. Liu Kang's fatality with the dragon. I think in the new game that's actually, I don't think that's a fatality in the new game now. I think that's actually his fatal blow. But I digress. Liu Kang's fatality looked really cool. Always good to see the fire dragon. I'll give you my final thoughts on this movie because there was a lot of good in this for sure. You know, especially a lot of fan service, which was great. I mean, we saw Liu Kang's bicycle kick. We saw the pit, which was awesome to see. If you didn't catch it, that's where Jax and Reiko had their final fight. That was the pit. So that was good to see that. And I honestly do feel like they really did try to make a Mortal Kombat movie that appeals to everybody. And I think for the most part, they did. They did what they intended to do. Just as a fan of not only the game, but also a fan of the lore, I did want to see more. And based on what I had heard from the director and the other actors and actresses in the movie, I expected more. So I did go into this with higher expectations, and unfortunately it didn't meet my expectations. So I do think that if they were to remove Cole Young from the movie, put Johnny Cage in there, and cast Louis Tan either as Johnny Cage or as a different character, then I think things would have worked a little bit better. Because Johnny Cage is just a better character. He has more personality than Cole Young did. And I think it would have worked. I think if they actually had an actual tournament and didn't rush through the tournament in the third act, it would have worked a lot better because that's Mortal Kombat. It's the tournament. That's the whole point, right? I get that the newer games kind of shy away from the tournament a little bit. Because, I mean, it starts with that, but then it veers into something else. But that's just part of the story. Where they are in the story right now, you got to have a tournament. That's what brings everyone together. And then you can venture off into how Outworld invades Earthrealm without the tournament. But if you just go straight to that, it doesn't make sense. And as an audience member, you kind of lose faith in it at that point because it's like, well, we're off on the rails now. So I think for what it's worth, the movie was good. Again, I didn't hate it, but I also didn't love it. I did expect more from it. And the good things that were in it, like the fight choreography and some of the relationships that I saw, and mainly between Sonya and Kano being the standout character that he was. I think I would have to give this movie a 6 out of 10. And I was kind of teetering between a 5 and a 6. I give it a 6 because, again, there's still a lot of things in the movie that I do appreciate and I do like. And I don't want to give it just an even keel 5 because I think, honestly, I think Kano kind of bumps it up just a little bit. If Kano wasn't there, it would definitely be a 5, if not lower.
Kano wins. You fucking beauty.
So, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the actor's name who plays Kano. Where is he? Josh Lawson. There he is. Josh Lawson. Fantastic job. Absolutely fantastic job with that character. And he definitely saved the movie for me personally. I would be remiss if I didn't mention a few Easter eggs in this movie that I found. Let's see here. So Jax mentions when he first meets Cole Young, he mentions Eddie Tobias, which is a play on the two creators of Mortal Kombat, Ed Boon and John Tobias. So Eddie Tobias is a play on their names. So I thought that was kind of cool. That was a lot of fun. Maybe we might get Noob Saibot, since which is also a play on their last names. If you flip them over, if you play them backwards. Maybe we'll get Noob Saibot now that Bihan is dead. So we'll see. We saw a photo of Nightwolf. We saw a photo of Kotal Khan. And yes, that was Kotal Khan. And as well as the mural that we saw that depicted the great Kung Lao beating Shang Tsung the first time and then getting killed by Goro the next tournament that he was in. It showed the Edenian gods, which was, a very interesting story from Mortal Kombat's Annihilation. And we got a mention of Shao Kahn, and we got a reference of the dragon, which, go in the comments and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I do believe that Goro was initially called the dragon before he was given his name, Goro. So we got, when Liu Kang said the dragon has taken many lives, I do believe he was talking about Goro having won 9 tournaments, killing all of the people that were involved in that tournament. So that was a nice little Easter egg that was dropped in there. And my favorite Easter egg that I saw, Shinnok's amulet. Saw Kano try to steal Shinnok's amulet, which was really cool. So we're supposed to be getting 4 more of these movies. So I do have a feeling that we're probably going to get Shinnok. We're going to get more characters. And hopefully we'll get, some good stories out of it. If this movie makes enough money, they will definitely make more. And so far, I believe it's #1 at the box office right now. So it's going to make its money. So hopefully the next one will be a little bit better story-wise. I think as far as the production and everything goes, they should just keep that up because that's great. But I just hope that we get a slightly better story from the next Mortal Kombat movie.
I am Sub-Zero. Get over here!
Oh, and by the way, Cole Young's power, the suit that he got from the bracelet that his daughter made for him, granted, I mean, it was cool how he got the power and everything, but all it is a Black Panther suit with the ability to make weapons from it. He had a knife on one side and a stick on the other side. That's all it was. Come on, guys. You can be a little more creative than that.
hero wins. You fucking...
Alright guys, that does it for my review of Mortal Kombat 2021. I definitely appreciate you guys hanging out with me on this. If you liked my review, feel free to hit that like button down there. That definitely helps me out a lot. And if you didn't like my review and you made it this far, well, thanks for hanging out. But again, hit that likes button, subscribe, and share. Feel free to jump into the comments. Let me know, how you feel, whether you liked my review, whether you didn't like my review, what you thought about it, and let's start a discussion down there. Let's try to keep it civil, but I'm open to hearing any criticisms that you may have as well. Constructive, I hope. I also do plan on doing more live streams on this channel, so if you want to keep up with that and any other videos that I do, make sure you hit that bell notification that you get notified every time I post a new video or every time I go live. You'll be able to talk to me directly on my live streams. You can tell me how much you liked my opinions, tell me how much you don't like my opinions, or just talk to me about something totally unrelated. So if you want to talk about it, I'm there. I'm here for you. So once again, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on this, and until next time, peace.